Welcome to this Thursday's Colorado Chronicles, where I, your boy Sean Murphy, I'll walk you through some of the latest, the hottest topics to be hitting the Colorado region. And we got some fun ones. We got a huge development going on down in Castle Rock after a family-owned ranch. It's been with the family since like 1885, has been released, and they are going to be blowing it up with some buildings, a lot of residential stuff, a lot of parks, things like that. I'm going to talk today about the Zillow clash. You're not in real estate. You might not have heard about this, but that is why we're here. We're going to talk about what Zillow is doing to combat certain brokerages that are trying to keep their listings private and not share them with Zillow. Whole bunch of back and forth going on about that not being good for sellers and um, sellers basically saying, and these brokerages saying, well, Zillow's just selling these leads to agents in the area, and it's not going to, high level agents. So that's some of the talk. That one we could talk about for hours. We could go deep on that one. I got to talk about the Denver housing market today. Talking about just the peak that we're seeing in listing inventory. We have seen the most new homes being listed most new homes being listed currently on the market. Had to turn on this other camera in the past 10 years. So we have inventory. So buyers buyers not be buying, buyers be being picky with the prices of homes, insurance rates, and interest rates being up over 6%. So it's causing a lot of sellers to need to price. You got to nail it, or you're going to be floating out there in no man's land and lowering your price. But as we're getting on today, as you guys are jumping on, do me a favor, say what's up. Let me know who's on today, who's watching with me. I am feeling like dog shit is the best word to explain it. I got food poisoning last night. I'm not gonna call it the place, but I know exactly where I got it at because I pretty much didn't eat much of anything yesterday. Went there, had wings, woke up this morning fine, and then right around like 10 o'clock in the morning, no bueno. So I am on the struggle bus, but I did not want to not be here for you. So I originally planned today to do more of like a market update of what's happening in Colorado. So I'm going to get into that at a high level, but just didn't have time to do more research. I typically like to bring some more like data, analytics, stuff like that for you. Otherwise, it's just me talking about what I've experienced out there, which is fine. But yeah, we're gonna get into it today with our first topic, and this might be a little bit of a short one today. So I appreciate as you guys are jumping on. Give me a thumbs up on the video, and then let me know who's here. Where are y'all watching from? If you are watching the replay, drop your questions in the comments, or you could always email me, and I'll get back to those next week. Rocky Mountain Murph. Well, Rocky Mountain Murph is my see, I'm not quite with it today. Rocky Mountain Murph is my Instagram. Sean.murphy at moxiepropertygroup.com. That is my email. So you can reach out to me that way, drop your questions. And this is meant to be a little bit interactive. So as we're going through this stuff, you guys got comments, you want to chime in, I'll be it. I'm happy to have you. Tuning in from San Jose, California today. Linda Lee. Awesome, Linda. Thanks for being on. Thanks for being with me. I think it's the first time I've seen you on here, or the first time that you've let your presence be known. So I'm sorry I'm not feeling great today. Hopefully, I make this a good one, informative for you. But let's get into our first topic of the week. We are talking about this Castle Rock development. So 535-acre ranch planned for the Castle Rock neighborhood. Now, if you guys aren't too familiar with Castle Rock, it is it is just south of the greater Denver metro area. So right along I-25, just about 20 15 20 minutes south here. and saw a lot of development around COVID times when everyone wanted to get a little bit further away from the city, and they also got that green light to be able to work remotely. People really flocked down to Castle Rock, and so there's a lot of new developments going on down in Castle Rock, a lot of new homes, and there's going to be more with this 535-acre ranch that is being developed. What is up, Jared and Lady Mel, tuning in from Evergreen Kittredge? I was actually just in your guys' area, got a property under contract back behind Black Hat, Black Hat Cattle Restaurant. So nice. Uh, cool. So this development thing, this is going to be like 2,000 new homes in this area, including a resort, business area, 175 parks. So like 535 acres. Like that's huge. That is if you want a unit of measurement, it's like this, like big. All right. So that is how you qualitatively explain that. It's huge. So 2,000 new homes. They're going to have it kind of split between the east side of I-25 and the west side. And so they're going to have 175 acres of that. It's going to be set aside for parks and open spaces. There are going to be 11 residential planning areas, one resort spa and residential planning area, two mixed use and multifamily planning areas, and public land um, dedication to the future schools and businesses of the area. So that is freaking huge. They say, who's they? I don't exactly know, but they say that someday it's all going to be connected from um, Castle Rock down to Colorado Springs, and all along there, we're gonna have houses. So those large barren stretches that we have could be no moss, but we've definitely seen the increase. If you're familiar with Centennial area, Lone Tree, down where like the Cabela's and just south of Denver Tech Center. I mean, that area 10 years ago really wasn't even there. Now you have like a Skyridge Hospital, the Charles Schwab complex. So we're just going to see that continually coming down, connecting Castle Rock to the greater Denver metro area, and then eventually Castle Rock down to Colorado Springs. It's going to happen. It's going to happen at some point. This land was purchased by Alex Scott Sr. in 1885 via the Homestead Act and has been continuously used for a cattle ranch since 1909. Passed down fifth and sixth generation owners to Jim Walker and Kurt Walker. Now they're selling it. Somebody somewhere is turning over in their graves over this new development. But yeah, Castle Rock and the people that have lived in Castle Rock forever, I can already hear them in the ether, just being pissed about this. They already feel that Castle Rock has grown enough. It's losing some of its it had more of like a frontier type vibe, more ranches and things like that. And it's definitely becoming its own little city down there. So we will see how that goes. Another people who are going to be roaring. That was a terrible segue. And more people that are going to be roaring over this sanctuary. So the animal sanctuary over in Keenesburg. So what's happened is this large carnivore animal sanctuary um, has been sitting out there doing its thing for a while now. And back in 2010, the property next to them had been purchased by a developer, and developer was just kind of sitting on there and sitting on the property, not doing anything about it. But now they have plans to turn that into a residential area. And the sanctuary says if this goes up, our sanctuary is going to have big problems because it has a 1,450 acre animal and habitat. And if you're trying to sleep in your little residential house and you get lions roaring at 2 o'clock in the morning, which is they say that is what's going to happen. They just know people are going to move there, knowing that they're moving next to an animal sanctuary. But they will be complaining not only about the animals, the roaring, but also um the animal shit smell that's going to be going through the air down there. So they're really saying pumping the brakes. They took it to social media and not really attacked the they didn't really attack the developers, but they definitely let it know that they feel that this is going to be the end of the sanctuary. So on behalf of the animal sanctuary, other people attacked the builders. They even sending over death threats. These developers are like 75 years old, and they're getting death threats from animal rights activists about developing that land. So they're getting bullied, and they say not only that, but it is home to lions, tigers, and bears, and wolves. Oh my, leopards, and all the like. But they also have 21 bald eagles that live there full time, and uh, likely now this obviously it's nothing's happened yet, but eagles like small animals, and if you got a cute little terrier bacon slice of bacon out there for the eagle, the sanctuary already knows you put them there. We're gonna get complaints about the noise. We're gonna get complaints about the smell. Eagles are gonna do eagle stuff, and they're gonna pick off some of these dogs, and we're gonna have a real problem. Um, they don't have the funds to relocate, and so they're saying this is a really big deal. Let me know. I have no dog in this fight. I have no lion in this pride. That was so stupid. I'm not feeling well, so my jokes won't be smacking today. But that is a mean looking lion. Uh, but yeah, I mean, also it's like the same thing happened in Commerce City. If you guys are familiar with Commerce City, they have what I reported the other week. There's like a $4.5 billion project going in over there. Commerce City likes to complain about the Purina factory, the dog factory smell that's been there for decades. And you bought a house next to the factory, and then people start complaining about the smell. It's like, brother, like you can't move next to a highway and complain about the traffic. Like you can't move next to Purina factory and complain about the smell. Like yeah, you saw it, you saw it. And so same thing that's going to happen with this sanctuary in their eyes. And so everybody's all up in arms about this. Talk a little bit about real estate stuff next. So we got two. I'm gonna hit you with two articles, and then I'm gonna hold it together for two more articles, and then I am gonna get us out of here. They big battle now in the real estate world. You hear of like Keller Williams and Redfin and EXP Realty is my brokerage, but none of us have money like Zillow and Trulia have money. So what had happened is MLSs, which is a multiple listing service. Uh, let's take a step further back. Back in the day, which was a Tuesday, brokerages used to like have all their listings. Like you would go to CenturyLink or you would go to Keller Williams because they had the most listings for the area. They had a book that they would go through and they'd show you all the homes that were for sale. There was nothing online yet. Then everything went to online, and then there became like we call them MLSs, multiple listing services, where agents then put their listing on there. When that happened, MLSs started to getting a lot of power, and they were telling real estate agents that you have to have unless you have a specific agreement with your seller, you have to have your listing on the MLS within 24 hours of marketing. Part of the NAR DOJ lawsuit last year now makes that a requirement. However, MLSs were allowing real estate companies to mark their listing like what we call a coming soon. And so we could mark it coming soon and we could not have it on Zillow and Trulia, and we could share it on social media because it would still be on the MLS because it's just marked coming soon on the MLS. So people with feeds or IDX feeds to the MLS, not a problem. Their websites were still showing all of that. But now Compass and mainly it's Compass is the brokerage. They said, you know what? We ain't doing that no more. We're not going to bend over for Zillow and Redfin now. We're just going to take all of our stuff off of their websites. Zillow didn't like that, guys. Zillow got real pissed off real quick. And they said, how about this? How about if you don't put your listing on our website, we'll never, we're never going to let you put your listings on our website. So now, in some instances, a seller is going to be like, yeah, that's fine. Like pocket listing, it gives the seller the ability to, or gives the listing agent the ability to maybe find an in-house buyer from their own database. But Zillow's complaint is that it's not fair to sellers if people are searching online on Zillow and Realtor and Redfin and Homes.com. If 95% of people are starting their home search online, they're saying you're doing a disservice to your seller by not having it on our website. And this is going against like fair housing laws, essentially, is what they're saying. They use a different word, not fair housing. Clear cooperation policy. That's what it is. So, in this article by the Denver Business Journal, NAR, National Association of Realtors, they declines to comment. But from Zillow's perspective, now I'm gonna give you Zillow's perspective online, and then I used to work for Trulia and Zillow, so I'm gonna tell you what else is going on in the background. Since Trulia and Zillow became things, real estate agents have been saying they're essentially selling our leads back to them because they now have a platform that's getting more views than any individual brokerage website. Essentially, all Zillow's doing is putting it out there, and then if you want the leads from your listing, when people go on to Zillow.com and they say contact agent, that's not always going to the listing agent. And that's the big problem with this because Zillow, when I was working with them, it'd say, hey, if you want to own, I'd call agents, I'd call real estate agents. This is before I was in real estate. I'd call real estate agents and say, hey, if you want to own 80192, that's the area that you market yourself, right? Cool. Well, last month we had 25,000 viewers shopping for homes in that area. That resulted in about 250 leads. I'm just making up numbers. That resulted in 250 leads. And if you would like to get 40% of those leads, it's going to cost you $550 a month. They had each zip code had different price points based off of home values, how many homes in the area, how sought after, and how many leads were coming through it. So that's kind of the back end. Like Zillow is saying, yes, we have clear cooperation rules. You're doing your seller a disservice if you don't have your property on Zillow because it's not going to be seen by the maximum number of people. But on the other side, Zillow is making money off of the leads that are coming from these other agents' listings. And my team is a Zillow Premier Agent team here in the foothills, Colorado. Um, but beforehand, when you're just paying to play, so now it's like, hey, they hire teams like my team because we have a good reputation. We know what we're doing. We can close these deals and more expertise in the foothills. So they were essentially partnering with us. Whereas before, like the model I explained to you, they were selling zip codes. And in that instance, anybody that had money could buy leads. And so it wasn't a great user experience for the Zillow people. And so this is all bubbling up. And what Zillow did do was pretty freaking sharp. They're saying, okay, if you don't want to put your listings on our website, well, if you don't, you can't. And what's going to happen with that is some say Compass doesn't budge and no longer are Compass agents allowed to put their listings on Zillow. Well, as a listing agent, I don't want to have to handle that conversation with the seller because some sellers will want maximum exposure and they will want it on Zillow. So now you're messing with the individual agent pocketbooks. And over the past 10 years, Compass has, grown to be one of the largest brokerages. So it's interesting to see if agents leave Compass because they don't want to be affected by this battle that is going on with these two beasts. But Zillow, I mean, Zillow's got way more money than anybody to make stuff happen. So super interesting. My brokerage is not a part of any of this, and we'll see how it plays out. So we're still marketing on Zillow. I don't have a huge problem with it, but on other websites like homes.com, which I also partner with, on homes.com, I can pay to ensure that any lead comes from my listing on homes.com comes to my team. There is not that option on Zillow. So I think that would help. They used to have that product way back in the day where an agent could pay $100 a month and then all leads from your listings come to you, but no muss. So we're going to see how these juggernauts play out and fight about. Speaking of listings, we're going to wrap it up talking about the new high bar. Denver, we are seeing, what is this going on? Why am I getting Bali women's minimizer bra on my advertising? I'm not looking at bras, guys. I haven't looked at a bra catalog since middle school. um, JC Penney's holler. So this last article is just talking about Denver's housing market hit unprecedented spikes in new homes. Now this has been happening for a little bit now. Really, like the past 12 months, we've been seeing, I guess, a buyer velocity that's kind of been kind of a flat line. There's not a whole lot of urgency. There are less buyers out there, and that's really been a problem caused by a couple things. When we kept those interest rates super low during COVID times, when we kept those interest rates low around like 2%, 3%, 2.5%, 3%, there was a feeding frenzy for homes in the area, nationwide. And what that did is that made the comparable home sales for each market, the prices shot up. And then as the rates eventually had to go back up, those prices, well, they didn't come down. The prices are staying where they are, and I don't think they will come down because I don't feel like felt the full effect of the inflation that we've had the past, you know, called 6, 7 years. So uh, so home prices, I don't see this like crash or this dip that people are always have been waiting for. And so it's just freaking expensive now with home prices high, interest rates around 6.5%. And especially here in the mountains, like now we have the problem of high insurance cost. It's not getting cheaper out here. And so those three factors have really slowed down the buyer rush to the market. And I'm just freestyling right now. I actually haven't mentioned one thing about this article. I'm just telling you guys what I know. It says on May 7th, inventory just shot up 99.6% above the long-term April average. Yeah, so we're typically having right around like 50, right around 5,000 homes on the market in the greater Denver metro area. Right now, we currently have 10,345. So almost double, which means buyers have a lot of options out there, and sellers need to be a lot more careful about how they price their product. If you're the only home available, you price what you want. And if there's a lot of buyers, they're going to pay what you're asking. But now that they have more options, sellers need to be a lot more aware of how they're pricing and continually watching the market week over week to see, you know, there's always comparable homes to yours, unless you get like dealing with like a $15 million property. But there's likely other 5 bedroom, 3 bathroom, 2,700 ish square foot homes in the area. So you constantly have to be watching what other properties are doing, watching their price adjustments, and um, making adjustments accordingly. I mean, the other problem that we're having, I mean, we're now seeing more inventory. But the problem with the low inventory that we had before, which kept prices going way up higher, was people that were locked in the 3% interest rates. They didn't want to have to sell. But now it's, 3 4 years past COVID, and people that were sitting on those low rates, some of them are starting to sell just because their house just simply doesn't meet their needs anymore. So they need to increase or decrease square footage, or they're cashing out and they're moving to somewhere like Ohio where you can get a house for 100K. So that's kind of what's going on in the market. I mean, we have been getting, I want to say, like, we've been beating up some sellers on the buy side. Um, Giving them offers that they can't refuse, which much lower than what they had listed it at, just because they're not getting the showings, they're not getting the buyer action, and eventually that price of the listing, there's like the price of the pain of them staying there will outgrow the price of a price, the pain of a price reduction. So we are always asking the sellers what the situation is, finding a little bit about why they're selling, what their plan is, if they have other offers in hand, stuff like that, and then we offer accordingly. And we've gotten some pretty filthy gangster deals for our buyers lately. So that is it. That's what I have for you guys today. If you guys haven't yet, do me a favor, hook me up. I'm not feeling good, guys. Do a sick boy. Like, give me some love. Give me a thumbs up on the video. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the Uncut channel, that is what we do here. So every Thursday, except the last Thursday, I go live here. I talk about, just like I did today, updates on Colorado housing, Colorado events, just chopping it up with you on Thursday evening. And then on Saturday is the altitude living. That one starts at 8 a.m. So you got to be kind of an early bird. But we go from the least expensive to the most expensive foothills homes to be hitting the market. So like Bailey, Blackhawk, Evergreen, Kittredge, Morrison, Idaho Springs, um, Conifer, is it Conifer or Bailey? But basically everything that's an hour west of the greater Denver metro area. So if you guys haven't jumped on for that one, do so. 8 a.m. I'll be back in Ohio for a wedding this Saturday, but I will still be coming on. I will be missing out on pool time to be with you guys. So I hope you know that's how much you mean to me. So reach out. We have a lot of out of state YouTube clients that we're working with right now, and I love to see it. YouTube peeps are my favorite peeps because I don't have to go on a blind date with some client that I never met before. At least you know me. And if you don't like me, you won't call me. I imagine that's how it goes. So, other than that, I hope you guys have a great night, and I love you. Goodbye.